So over the last 2 weeks of Funko announcing Sdcc reveals, I've seen a lot of people very upset over the limited edition releases. And if you're confused as to what limited edition means, or LE as most people call it when they're announced, it's this chart here that shows all the different limited piece counts. So piece counts are basically, you know, the numbers you're seeing there. So a pop can be anywhere from 99 to 9,500 pieces, for example, at least according to this. And ever since Funko put out this program, they've been dropping non-stop LE releases every single month, and Comic-Con was included in that. Around 20 of the reveals were expected to be LE pieces, which just caused such an upset amongst fans, especially as they were revealed. Now, personally, I've never had an issue with like limited piece counts. I think it's always smart for a company to do that. It creates hype. It creates like a need for that specific figure. People want to go after it, and they're talking about it at the end of the day. I would say my issue in particular is the choices for the piece counts for the particular character, because some of these just don't make sense. One of the biggest upsets was obviously the absolute DC line, including Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. These were all 1,000 pieces. To my understanding, this is supposed to be like an introduction to the absolute DC line that we are getting in early 2027, where we're supposed to have a full new list of common characters, which will include an additional Superman and Batman, so you don't really have to worry about those LE releases. But then they do the LE release for Wonder Woman, who's also very popular in the absolute DC comics, so that's where it like makes no sense to do it. I mean, at the very least, if you're gonna do different molds anyways for the upcoming commons, why not just make these 9,500 piece ones to Comic-Con and make a ton of money in the process? At 1,000 pieces each, you're very much limiting your profit as a company. So I guess I don't really get it from a profitability standpoint. I understand like creating hype and creating chatter around Funko, and at the same time, it is Comic-Con, so things should be limited, but limited to a point to where it makes sense. I think easily these and a few other exclusives we're going to talk about at 5,000 pieces or 9,500 pieces would have been perfect and still sold out. And even though I'm in agreement with a lot of people on the opinion of, yes, you know, Funko needs hype back, they need limited pieces, again, where it makes sense. So again, at the end of the day, it's fine, I guess, with Batman and Superman, but Wonder Woman in this situation just makes no sense to me. Why would you limit her to 1,000 pieces when people are going to want them just as much as the other two for the set? Especially when currently there are no plans to make another Wonder Woman Absolute DC pop, at least until way after the second wave in early 2027. Now, the other biggest upset we did actually have for Comic-Con reveals included Invincible. They did it in the mystery style, and there's 5,000 pieces total, but it's scattered through each different character. And they chose the Mark variants for this mystery pop line, which I think was pretty smart. It makes a lot of sense. I can't remember off the top of my head if there's maybe more Mark variants they could do a second set of this with. However, if there isn't, this is still a really good set. I was just really confused why we're putting Movent's Hawk at 100 pieces. Like, that's going to be the most sought after one. Okay, let me clarify here, actually. Let me rephrase that. Yes, it makes sense that he is going to be the most limited one because he's one of the most liked Mark variants. However, why not put him at a higher piece count and all the other ones at a higher piece count? Just like I'm saying with the Absolute DC line, to where you can make more money. You can still have limited pieces at Comic-Con and still make a lot of money, you know? So that's where a lot of people are making the argument that I agree. Realistically here, I agree with both sides here. Yes, Comic-Con needs hype. Yes, they need limited pieces, but at the same time, you can still make it at a certain number where it's kind of feasible to obtain something versus a 100-piece mark. And they're going to be sold at Comic-Con and online, but they're going to sell out like that, you know? Oh, I actually want to put this in the video here too. I'm not interested in buying any of these exclusives by any means. I don't need them for my collection. I don't collect Absolute DC, even though I do like the pops. I like the Invincible ones. I think they're nice. I haven't read the Absolute DC comics, but I have watched the Invincible show. They're great pops, but I don't collect them. I don't need them. This video is mostly advocating for kind of both sides, I'd say. And that's not me not trying to pick a particular side here. I truthfully do agree with both sides because both sides have very valid points. Okay, so another pretty big upset for this con was actually for Persona 5 fans. So we got 3 exclusives announced, including Joker and Loki as shared exclusives, and then Violet as a 750-piece pop. Again, I don't understand the decision here. Very easily could have done this at 5,000 to 9,500 pieces and made more money, especially since we don't have the character in this design. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a big Persona guy. I don't know if there's like another version of the character or something like that, so I don't really know too much. You guys can correct me down below. But anyways, to my understanding, we don't have the character in this style, at least based off like a Google search. So making it so incredibly limited is just so weird to me when you can make so much money and still have it be limited, you know? And not to mention that Persona is so hyped this year. We just got the Persona 6 announcement. We got the Persona 4 revival game announcement. There's so much Persona news going on. People are more hyped than ever currently. And then you make a 750 piece pop of a character that people are going to want. Like, again, I don't have a problem with the limited edition line. I just have a problem with how they're doing it and structuring it. Some of these choices just make no sense. And then you do it with Comic-Con, one of the biggest events of the year, and you're just making people mad. Like, you really are with some of these choices. I agree with some of them, I don't agree with all of them. If Funko as a company is trying to climb their way out of debt and make the company more profitable, why wouldn't you raise these piece counts? I'm not saying it always needs to be the case, but I'm saying with particular characters that we haven't had yet or has a really big fan base, why not do the maximum piece count possible? And then characters that aren't maybe too particularly popular, do the lower piece counts. Like the Godzilla here, for example, 1,000 pieces. We already have Space Godzilla. We have the other one that's also limited. Both are limited, but we also have plenty of Godzilla Pops. We have 2 additional Space Godzilla Pops, the Funko Shop exclusive and the sleeping one. So you already have options there. That one's not as much of an upset. I mean, unless you're a big Godzilla fan, but you get my point. But then they turn around and make Malice Sue Storm here a limited edition piece pop, which I think this one's expected to be around 1,000 pieces. We'll know officially soon here whenever Funko decides to put out their guide and, you know, we see box images, but I think it's supposed to be around 1,000. If so, that's crazy. This is one of the most popular skins in Marvel Rivals, and the mold looks incredible. 1,000 pieces, man? You know? And this is the first Sue Storm Marvel Rivals pop we got. We're probably never going to get this design again unless they make a comic book version one. Like, my brain hurts trying to understand some of these decisions they make sometimes. Genuinely, I don't get it from a company who's trying to be more profitable. You do the weirdest choices with your LE releases. I'm not saying you can't just pump them out left and right like you haven't been, but to reiterate my point and repeat myself for the 45th time, why don't you just make them higher piece counts and then make the characters who aren't as sought after the lower piece counts? Anyways though, guys, I think I got my overall point across here. I could sit here going through the rest of the limited edition exclusive releases and keep talking in circles. You guys get my point here and how I feel about this limited edition program. I feel like it started just so well and then it's like slowly just going downhill in quality just because of some of the choices that they're doing. I love limited edition releases. I think it's great for Funko as a company. I think it's making them a lot of money too because things are selling out again, but things can still sell out at a little bit higher piece counts and they can make more money. I think that's a really smart business move that they should explore more in the future. Anyways though, guys, that was my yap session today for Sdcc. Kind of wanted to get those thoughts out because every time they release a new LE release, the comments are flooded with like a lot of angry fans. So I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts and opinions on this topic. Of course, feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Happy to have a healthy discussion with you guys. But for now, thank you so much for watching today's video. Hit the like button down below if you did enjoy and subscribe and click that notification bell if you're new here. I do want to end off the video here by saying a big shout out to all the awesome Patreon supporters of the channel. You guys are amazing for supporting myself and the channel. If you guys are interested and want to check out the Patreon, the link is down below. We have a Patreon Discord where we share a lot of information, news, restocks, updates, links, and more. And finally, make sure you follow me on all my social medias at Skittlerampage over on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and my Facebook page so you can stay up to date. All right, love you guys. See you guys in the next one. See you guys later. Bye.